I'd now like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Robin Cameron. Now, Robin is a Senior Lecturer and Program Director for the Bachelor of Commerce at the Griffith Business School, and she's also an author and a co-author of many papers in the field of accounting research. Now, additional to her professional career, Robin's actual greatest passion is raising awareness and research funds for the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and she's been a volunteer there since 2007. Now, she's chaired several NBCF committees, including the Gold Coast Volunteer Committee, the Gold Coast Fundraising Committee, and the Gold Coast Global Illumination Committee. But her greatest passion is driving the Gold Coast Mother's Day Classic Committee, and she's been on that since 2008. So I'd like to thank Robin for coming along today. And Robin, thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me here today. Absolute delight to be sharing this Mother's Day breakfast with you all, and to see the many faces that are behind the St Hilda's Mother's Day Classic team. Let me tell you, St Hilda's is a topic of conversation at every committee meeting every year. What are their numbers going to be? And Simone has told me that you are already sitting at 270, and I think we've just enlisted two more to bring that up to over 270. So thank you very much. Your ears must burn each time. So does anyone know how the Mother's Day Classic started? Anyone done any Googling research on that? Well, it was founded by two women. Mavis Robertson and Louise Davidson. And so Mavis, who unfortunately passed away last year before the Mother's Day Classic, she saw a similar event overseas and spoke to an organisation called Women in Super. And Women in Super represents women working in the field of the superannuation industry, hence the Women in Super. And she spoke to them about organising an event similar to that in Australia. 3 years earlier, a colleague, Louise, who worked with Women in Super, had lost her mother to breast cancer at the age of 52. So they became the driving forces behind the Mother's Day Classic. And so the first Mother's Day Classic was held in 1998 in Sydney and Melbourne. Anyone know, so two capital cities in 98? Where are they now? How many venues now? Well, this year, Mother's Day Classic will be held in over 100 venues or places around Australia. And some of them are in very remote towns, okay? So not only capital cities, but remote towns, such as Nanham, which is at the top end of Queensland, where the total population is just over 800. Okay? And participants, Australia-wide, we're predicting just over 130,000. So there's a lot of people behind it. And so the event has grown into a major community event, raising funds for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So the purpose of the objective of the Mother's Day Classic is to support the objectives of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. And that is to promote awareness of the disease, to promote and raise funding to enable vital research into a very broad spectrum of breast cancer research. And to date, or since 1998, the Mother's Day Classic has raised just over $27 million for breast cancer research. Wow. Yes. And that's thanks to people like you, okay? So it's thanks to the community, people like you. And our goal this year is 4 million, okay? So, but we're pretty confident in getting there. So that's how the Mother's Day Classic started at its inception. Two women getting an idea together. How do you think it started here on the Gold Coast? Phone call. So at the time, it was late 2008, I was chair of a Gold Coast volunteering committee for the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and I got a call from the Queensland NBCF asking, would we consider organising a Mother's Day Classic here on the Gold Coast? Well, it's for the NBCF, so we can't say no, we'll have to give it a go. And that's, so we met, there was 4 of us, had to do it in between classes, so it was in the Student Admin Centre over at Griffith University. And 4 people, late 2008, and we held our first Mother's Day Classic in 2009, and this is our 8th year, and you know the story. St Hilda's been there supporting us every year. I strongly encourage my students at Griffith to grab any opportunity to volunteer, okay? Any opportunity at all, even to volunteer at, events such as that you have here this morning. Helps to develop lots of soft skills and build confidence, things that employers are looking for from their employees today. And of course it looks good on your CV and you learn a lot. For example, I've learned how to determine the number of portaloos we need. It's very strategic. No, it takes a lot of analysis, believe me. Did we have long queues last year? Yes, we may need some more then. Did we have no queues? Maybe we could cut down because it does take a big chunk out of the budget. So if anyone has any connections to portaloos that might want to donate them, please see me. The enthusiasm and the passion of many in the community and that they show for breast cancer research is what gives me and my fellow committee members the continued drive to devote our time and energy to events that support breast cancer research. And of course we rely on many volunteers. Do you have any idea or anyone want to guess how many volunteers we rely on the morning here at the Gold Coast for the Mother's Day Classic? Throw a number at me. 150. Okay, that's our ideal number, 150 volunteers for our Gold Coast event. So you can imagine at big capital city events how much they rely on. And that's, if we had to pay people to do such a things, there's no way we would raise as much money as we do. So when you girls, as I said, any opportunity to volunteer, grab it. And when you finish school, when you leave school, continue to grab those opportunities to get involved in community events and to give back to the community, because believe me, it'll come back to you 1,000-fold. So how did the National Breast Cancer Foundation start? Mother's Day Classic, 2 women, some phone calls. Well, I was told by an NBCF board member that it started from a conversation between his wife and a couple of her friends around the kitchen table. And since that conversation, the NBCF has awarded more than $127 million to Australian-based research projects to improve the health and well-being of those affected by breast cancer. And so we've talked about how the Mother's Day Classic initially started, how it started then on the Gold Coast, how the NBCF started and the funding of breast cancer research is provided. So if you were, it's the students here, if you were asked today in class to write 1 or 2 sentences on that, what would you write? Think about what would you write on that. So maybe you might think, well, wow, those things started in small steps, little things, and little things can grow. So those small steps, if you like, have grown into great big hoofs. Because just an idea, someone had an idea, but they kept going with that idea and they drove it, and it's grown into an amazing event. So how did I come to be a community fundraiser for the NBCF, you might ask? How come I'm here today? Well, that's due to my personal experience, but it did take some years. So I was first diagnosed with breast cancer at age 38. My children then were 5 and 8 years old. But that diagnosis in no way propelled me to fundraise at that time. In fact, I told only a handful of people. But I did know how very, very lucky I was to have found the cancer early. I found it myself, checking my breasts after an ad on TV promoted that. And yes, very lucky I found it very early. And so my treatment that time was what they call a lumpectomy, where the tumour was taken out, and radiation therapy. At that time, it was a while back, there was no radiation facilities here on the Gold Coast, so I used to have to travel up to Brisbane each day. So I fitted that in between raising 2 little kids, studying an undergraduate degree, gym, running, and everything else. And then I'd throw in a trip to Brisbane every afternoon and get back in time to cook dinner. Cancer at that time was still an illness that people didn't speak openly about. So that first diagnosis was in 1995. That's about, only 21 years ago, which sounds a lot, but isn't really that many years. And so if you think about it, we've come a long way. You're having a breakfast here today, and what are we talking about? Breast cancer research. On Sunday, there's an event being held around Australia. What's it about? Breast cancer research. And so that's a good thing, because it's making women more aware of the disease and that they need to be aware. And I sometimes use the word responsible for their own bodies. So I really encourage you, anytime you see any change in a breast, okay, or in any part of your body, get it checked out, because that's what enabled me to be here. My doctor said to me, you had 3 things going for you, Robin. 1, you found the lump. 2, you went and saw your GP. And 3, your GP followed it through. 2 years after my first diagnosis, my husband's sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. Unfortunately, she didn't find it early enough, and so the cancer spread. She was in her very early 30s, and she left behind her husband and her 2 very young children, aged only 5 and 7 at that time. They are now in their 20s, and whenever I see or think about them, I can't help but think how long they've been without their mum and how unfair that is to those children. In the ensuing years, I was very diligent, having all my regular checkups. I was a very good girl, did exactly what I was told. Fast forward, January 2004, I was 46. It was 8 years since my first diagnosis. My children now 15 and 17, grades 10 and 12. Goodness me, what a stressful year that was going to be for a mother. Not only is it, the high school exams, but hey, the graduation ball, My son, believe me, boys take longer to get changed than girls. I know, I've had many, many teenage boys in the powder room downstairs on a Friday and Saturday night getting ready to go out. It was very hard to get in there. So it was actually my annual checkup and resulting tests that confirmed I had breast cancer again. This time my treatment was to be a mastectomy and chemotherapy. Was I concerned to be losing a breast? No. Was I concerned I was going to lose my hair? No. Was I concerned we'd found it early enough? Yes. And obviously, I'm here to tell the story. But it was this second diagnosis that propelled me into wanting to do something. I'd done everything the doctors had told me to do, and a second diagnosis, and the first diagnosis even. See, I ticked off, the only risk factor box I ticked off was that I was a female. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I wasn't sedentary, I was running half marathons. I hadn't taken the pill, there was no family history, so it was like, where did this come from? It was very, very surreal. And so the only reason I could come up with was, I'm a woman. And, is that right, so to speak? And needless to say, I have my own daughter. And one day I hope to have granddaughters. And then I thought about my girlfriends. And I thought, I don't want any female, including, you girls here and women, to want to have to undergo the challenges that a diagnosis of breast cancer brings. Why? Just because you're a female. And so I don't think that's fair, so to speak. But what could I do? I'm not a scientist. I don't know how to turn a Bunsen burner on. Do you still use those? I don't know. Yeah? So I can't do that. But I thought what I can do, and so to me the key to minimising the impact of the disease and to providing ways to prevent it and perhaps find a cure was by research. Because to me that's the key that's going to unlock the mysteries. And so that's what I decided. I can't find the reasons why myself, but I can put time and energy into fundraising to provide the funds for that vital research that we need. And that's what I decided. I chose the National Breast Cancer Foundation because it's the leading community organisation in Australia raising money for research into the prevention and cure of breast cancer. It does not receive any government funding. It relies solely on the community. Okay, people like yourself here today, solely on the community to raise funds for breast cancer research. What has research found and hence taken us that step closer to prevention and cure? Well, here's some of the telling statistics in terms of breast cancer. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Breast cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed in Australian women, and a very telling statistic is that 8 women will die every day from breast cancer. Risk factors, being a woman, personal history, family history, and increasing age. The incidence of breast cancer in Australia is increasing, and by 2020 it is estimated that there will be over 17,000 new cases of breast cancer diagnosed in women, or approximately 47 every day. So we've got to do something about that, okay? And by you, I'm not sure, some of you mightn't have thought, what you're doing on Sunday is you're helping to find a solution to that. So remember that when you're walking, it'll be a great morning, but you're also doing something really important. You're helping to provide a solution to something, not only to women of today, but future generations of women. And Dave, Pierre, Tony, Ben, 1% of cases diagnosed with breast cancer are men. Okay, yes, men too can get breast cancer. And many men aren't aware of that fact. But there is good news. And the good news is the result of breast cancer research. So the chance of survival after a diagnosis of breast cancer has improved by some 22% over the last decade. And that, as I said, is because of breast cancer research. Current national breast cancer research themes covers a very broad spectrum from prevention and early detection. There are projects looking at genetics, the effect of genetics and family histories on women that are diagnosed. It's also looking at the advanced metastatic, I have trouble pronouncing that name of the disease, where it spreads. So why is it that the cancer spreads in some women and why doesn't it? And so one researcher is looking at if she can find out why it does spread, what it is about those cancer cells, maybe she can find a way to put those cancer cells to sleep, so to speak. Personalised treatment. So over the years, researchers provided doctors and specialists with information in terms of which particular treatment will be better suited to a particular form of breast cancer that a woman has. Because there's many different forms of breast cancer, it's not just one structure as such. And young women. There's a lot of research now being undertaken in terms of young women. For example, the effect on a young woman's fertility. How many of you girls here want to have children in the future? Hands up. Okay. Well, what you're doing on Sunday, yeah, I thought I would have seen more hands up, but anyway, we won't go there. That's okay. That's okay. Many women who are diagnosed at a young age are faced with the prospect that the life-saving treatment they must undertake may also take away from them their ability to have children. And so one of the projects the National Breast Cancer Foundation is currently funding is research funding just that. And so I'm going to show you just a short video. It's one of the NBCF funded projects, and the researcher's name is Dr. Carla Hutt, and we're just going to have a look at that and she'll tell us about her work.
I'm Carla Hutt and I'm a reproductive biologist, and the major goal of our research in this laboratory is to develop a really new and innovative strategy to try and protect the fertility of women undergoing treatment for breast cancer. Chemotherapy is a commonly used treatment for women with breast cancer, and it's very successfully used to treat breast cancer. But unfortunately, chemotherapy also has some unwanted side effects. One of these side effects is damage to the ovary, and in particular these treatments can cause the death of eggs that are stored within the ovary. This is a real problem for females because women can't make new eggs, so once those eggs are destroyed they're not able to replace them. So unfortunately, many breast cancer survivors are faced with the prospect of infertility and also early menopause. Now, infertility can be really emotionally devastating for younger women that have been diagnosed with breast cancer. 25% of Australian women diagnosed with cancer are in the reproductive years. Most of these women will be rendered infertile by the treatments that save their lives. We really need to develop new methods to preserve their fertility during exposure to chemotherapy to enable them to have their own families after their treatment. It's imperative that we continue to be funded to do this really exciting research that could ultimately improve the quality of life and fertility of women after cancer. We are grateful for the research monies that we have received to do this research, but we are at the very early stages. We've got a lot of work to do, so any support that we can get will be continuing to support our excellent research in this area. Try to imagine being diagnosed with breast cancer and then being told that the very treatment that could save my life could also take away my options of having children in the future. So I really believe in the research that we're doing. As a mother, I can't imagine having the option of having children taken away from me. So we'd like to provide every woman that's diagnosed with breast cancer the chance of having her own family after her treatment. So we would not be able to do this research without the support of our donors. So we are extremely grateful for your support.
So I chose that video because I thought it was very much in line with the audience of today. And so, as I said, what you're doing on Sundays, you're helping to fund those types of research projects. And that's just one of them. I encourage you, if you're really interested in it, go to the nbcf.org.au website. There's a number of there's short videos of many of the researchers there talking about what they're doing, and it's really quite interesting. So I encourage you to do that. The projects, for example, that Dr. Carla Hutt are undertaking in terms of reducing the impact on breast cancer on young women, and also the research that's now being undertaken in terms of finding out why cancer spreads in some women and not others. Two ends of the spectrum, and for me, it's those. And focus is what's keeping me driven at the moment in terms of raising funds for breast cancer. I'm meeting too many young women who, for example, one girl last year, Donna, 38, diagnosed with breast cancer. Double mastectomy, has had a horrific time, to be quite honest, in terms of her treatment, but extremely positive. But yes, will she be able to have more children? Probably not. Fortunately, she had one. I was fortunate I'd already had my children, and that's happening too often, and for me it's a driving force. I want to minimise that impact. I've lost some friends, okay, that I've met over the years, just recently and several years ago, and so that is also what's keeping me driven. I want to be able to help fund that research that is going to ensure that on Sunday, for example, there'll be many women there that won't be with us physically, but they will be there with us in spirit. And we want to make sure that in the future, if a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, she has the best chances of staying with us so that she can also come and participate in the Mother's Day Classic. So again, remember, on Sunday, you are making a difference. You are making a difference to not only current generations of women, but also future generations of women. Only 2 more sleeps to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cameron. That was fabulous. And
These are one of my favourite. How did you know I'm excited about them? I love them. Thank you. Thank you. Look, I even know the name. Thanks very much.
thank you so much for coming today, Dr. Cameron. Now, girls, I know that some of you are coming up to speak to give tributes to your mothers, so if you'd like to come up now.
My mum. There's not much to say, really. She's my hero, the person to hold me up. I remember in year 5, I was 9, and I had this market day project. We went shopping for all the materials, and she helped me make the bracelets we were going to sell. I had nowhere to display them, so she grabbed a clean, empty cake box and turned it into a convertible opening box. I remember thinking that my mom could make anything and fix everything. Or another time, when I was in the hospital, she stayed with me all night and day to make sure I was okay. She's always believed in me, and not just me, but Rohan, my brother, too. She's done everything for us. She's always done it on her own. All the mums out there, they're human, and they look after us and they care for us. This is their day. All I want to say is thank you. Thank you for being there for me, and thank you to all the mums out there. Because maybe we forget to say thank you, so I'd like to say thank you now.
To me, my mum is one of the bravest people I've ever met. It was New Year's Day. We were sailing in our yacht to Tangalooma. We reached a point where there was a large power line lined up across the river. We weren't sure we would make it under, as the mast was very tall. To give you an idea, it's 30 metres high. So my mother volunteered to climb up the mast and stay up there so we would know we would make it. Luckily we did, otherwise we could have gotten electrocuted. We were all very grateful for her bravery. So I don't know about you, but my mum is brave, and so are all the other mums out there. They spend their lives looking out for us. They protect us from dangers, and they take on the responsibility of shaping us into the person we are today. Thank you, Mum, for being there.
Hi, my name is Tori and I'm in Year 7, and today I'm going to speak to you about one of the most special people in my life, my mum. My mum travels for work quite often to northern New South Wales. This means she is not always around. However, she always makes sure that she is around for the special and important events in me and my sister's life. When she is away, I know that she is always thinking about me. Sometimes she brings back little presents, and that's how I know. Secondly, she organises everything to the hour so we don't miss a thing. To this day, it baffles me how she stays so incredibly organised. She normally wakes up really early and goes to bed really late in order to get things done for her job and for my sister and I. I try to help her most of the time, but sometimes it's not as easy. In the end, I think my mum is an amazing personality and she's my superhero.
I think everyone would agree that their mum is the best mum in the world. But the thing is, everyone's mum is the best mum for them. Now, can you tell me if your mum gets you sushi every afternoon, or if she comes to every single one of your commitments? Well, my mum does. The thing is, she will come and watch me do my activities, such as cross country the other day, but then work until 11 o'clock at night to catch up on the work she missed. She comes and cheers me on extremely loudly and always wants me to give 100%. I will say something, she can make me a bit mad, but at the end of the day, she will give anything for me and my sister, and I would give anything for her because she is my mum. And I love her more than anything. My mum is like a cloud, nice and cuddly, but then sometimes she can get dark and scary and throw lightning at you, but whatever happens, I love my mum.
Everyone probably has a different idea of what the best mum is. Mine is pretty simple. It's the person who sits at the end of my bed at night and chats about what's going on in my life and just listens. It's the person who understands when I don't eat my homemade chicken schnitzel wrap because I didn't feel like it. It's the person who smiles when I try to do something and fail. It's the person who comes to me after an argument and tries to make up. It's the person who understands that Mum is actually a call for desperate help. Your mastery of Parent Lounge is unparalleled. You give me makeup tips I should take but don't, and then think nothing to drive down from Brisbane to the Gold Coast to be there for me. I love you, Mum. Thank you for so many things, but more than anything, thank you for being a beautiful you.
Good morning all and happy early Mother's Day. This morning Sophie and I are speaking on behalf of the Boarders. We both are from farms out west and only see our mums a couple of times a term, and our holidays are very precious. During the school year, we spend about 280 days away from our mums, and believe me, that's a long time. Mums, they do everything for us. Just like all other mums, my mum cooks,
talks on the phone, helps with homework, and wipes my little brother's nose all at the same time. Miracle lady. Dad could never do that.
I'd also like to give a special thanks to all of the day girl mums for packing that extra muesli bar or signing us out for the weekend. I'd like to give a personal shout out to Simone Stevens for acting like a second mum for me whenever I'm on leave with her. To all of the boarding mothers, thank you for getting us out of the boarding house by 8:20, otherwise we would have stayed in bed all day. And thank you for giving the best hugs when our mums can't.
So mums, get ready this Sunday. The delivery of a hot cup of tea and breakfast in bed, hugs and kisses from your children is well deserved because we all wouldn't be here without you.
Hi everyone, my name's Lucia and today I'm here with my mum Leanne. A couple of days ago I was asked to write a speech about everything and anything I like about my mother. That night I researched the word mother in the dictionary and this is the definition it gave me. A woman in relation to a child in which she is a female parent. Although this definition is theoretically correct, it definitely does not explain and describe the true characteristics of a mum. I believe some include the fact that she is caring, fun and full of unconditional love. My mum Leanne has a heart made up of 90% care. Most Sundays she'll stay up till 12 a.m. baking cupcakes so that I have a sweet treat for lunch the next day. Or she'll spend 4 weeks in advance buying every item off the camp list and doubling everything so that I have no chance of losing it in the terrifying wilderness of Coolangatta. My mum is also undeniably full of fun. Those wonderful times when she attempts to be the cool mum, comes roller skating with me and my friends and breaks her arm in the process. And last but not least, my mum shows me unconditional love. Even after those days when I've arrived late at school, lost my homework, forgot my iPad, and had acted in the most grumpiest manner. Even after days like that, she's still happy to tuck me in at night and sit with me until I feel better. Yet although my mother contains all these great characteristics, she is so much more. I personally believe, and hope you all agree, the right definition for a mother should be a person who has loved you since the day you were born and nurtured you every day right up till this current moment. A woman in which you have shared so many wonderful memories and cannot understand a life without her. A mother is everything. Thank you.
Good morning. The other day I thought, what makes this world go round? But then it occurred to me, it's the same lady that's yelling at me, telling me to clean my room. All these lovely ladies here today have magic powers. They have magic listening powers. Our mothers would sit and listen to whatever we have to say for hours on end. But then again, what lady doesn't love a bit of Year 8 juicy gossip? Our mothers and grandmothers also have super finding powers. I could be looking for my snazzy leopard print Ugg boots for hours, yet Mum comes along, lifts up a chair, and bam, I should have gone to Specsavers because there they are. These lovely ladies are also the ones to thank for getting us to rowing, to swimming, to touch, to whatever you have to get to, all in uber cool style. Our mothers and grandmothers put food on our plates, a roof over our head, and love in our hearts. Most mums give birth to children, but our mothers have given birth to legends. So all in all, these lovely ladies make the world go round.
Good morning, mothers, grandmothers, students, staff and other fellow family members. My name is Anna Eddy and I'm honoured to be able to speak at this breakfast this morning. I'm here to talk about my mum and to share my memories of her with you today. Renee Eddy was a fun, loving, caring mum with a great sense of humour. She was a successful model with the love of life. She was devoted to her 3 children very much, and today I know that I have many of her characteristics. I have the same hair, smile, dimples, and that wicked sense of humour and that little bit of sass. The few memories I have of my mum are happy and clear in my mind. Unfortunately, my mum passed away when I was 5 years old and she was only 36. Mums are really special, but I have learned that you don't have to be a mum to be that special role model to your child.
You just need to be someone who is caring and loving. My older sister and my second mum, Rebecca Frizzell, have shown me that mums can come in many different forms, but no one will ever replace my own mum, Renee. Thank you for having me today, and I hope you enjoy your Mother's Day.
Whoa. Okay. Good morning, mothers, grandmothers, staff and student. I remember back to a couple of years ago, my mum said to me, "Clearly, I've signed you up for nippers." I'm going to be honest, I wasn't excited at all, because the thought of me on a board and swimming in the ocean, believe me, doesn't come across as a pretty sight. Personally, I think that a good mum goes the extra mile goes further than the limit to look after and support every girl in this room. Thank you, Mum, for everything you do for me, as much as I might not tidy my room or not make my bed or not pick my towel up off the floor sometimes. Thank you for everything you do for Eleni and I. We are both so grateful. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you all have a lovely day.
Hello, my name is Grace. Mum, thanks for coming today. When thinking of all the qualities you have imparted to me, I immediately thought of these. You taught me how to make school lunches in preschool, so you'd never have to make me a lunch again. You taught me the importance of independence, so now I walk every single day to the tram. But seriously, Mum, you're the centre of our family and everything would fall apart if it wasn't for the little things that go unnoticed every day. I want you to know I appreciate the simple things. When my alarm doesn't go off for some reason and I'm late and you do everything to get me there. Taking me to all those early training practices and waiting for the bus to return on Friday nights. And to the special feeling I get when I open the fridge and see chocolate Yogos sitting there and just know you've done the groceries. It is a combination of all these things that go unnoticed that makes you special. I love the importance you place on family and how we have Grandma and Granddad and Nana over so often. I do understand the sacrifices you make for me. Mum, I wish to say in front of everyone, thank you for being such a special mother.
Good morning, mothers and daughters. My mum and I's relationship is very similar to my old obsession with One Direction. Both relationships consisted of overwhelming amounts of love, substantial amount of screaming, and maybe a little tears once in a while when I didn't agree with their decision, if that be what's for dinner or Harry Styles' new girlfriend. But I hope in anyone's right mind they could not compare a mother's love and compassion for their daughter to a British boy band or anything in that matter. I'm still never going to be able to solve the mystery of how my mum can always find that one sock I'm missing, or still being able to put up after 6 years with the same old nothing or good response after asking what I did at school or how the day went. But that is one in millions of things I find inspiring about her. The will as a mother to sacrifice so much for me when most would do whatever it was to benefit themselves only. At school, mums are a very popular topic, mostly stating how we believe they make the best spaghetti bolognese, or sometimes complaining about how she always cries when 60 Minutes comes on. Either way, it is fair to say that they are always on our minds. Every day now, I try to come home and cherish all the little details of having my mum with me. Things as small as being able to walk around the kitchen as she cooked dinner and would talk about life. But these were things that I took for granted before. I'm not too sure what changed, but it helped me to recognise how much I need her and how lost I'd be without her in the end. Although it is still quite obvious we have our arguments and disagreements time to time on how I want to live my life or when I want to clean my room, I will always be searching for a way to repay her. I hope everyone can cherish all the little things and moments they have with their mums and not take anything for granted. Be proud of your mother like she is of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Georgia Bulbers and my mum is over there. What can I say about my mum? There's a lot, and there's no amount of words in the English dictionary that can explain how much she means to me, but I'll try anyway. My mum has been there for me from the very beginning and has always loved me. She isn't just a mum, but she's a world-class chef, a chauffeur, a tutor, a cleaner, a hairdresser, a doctor, a dentist, a counsellor, and a best friend, all rolled into one. I want to take this chance to thank my mum for everything she has done for me and to tell her how much she means to me, as she means the world to me. So here goes. Dear Mum, thank you for all the hours you have devoted your busy life to go shopping with me. Thank you for all the patience you have shown me throughout the years and all the help you have given me. Thank you for always believing in me even when I didn't. And thank you for continuously spurring me on to do everything I wanted to do. You have always been great to me, so thank you. And I honestly wouldn't know what to do without you. Here's a poem that I found that I think she will like. For all you do, you do with love. You are so special, a gift from above. And with all the heart, I want to say, I love you, Mum. Happy Mother's Day.
Good morning. I am Charlotte Frampton and my licorice all-sort mum is Karen. Since kindy, Mum has told me that there is no such thing as bad children, just children who make bad choices. I am certain that if I ever found myself in the Southport Watch House, mistakenly of course, that Mum would leave me there overnight to think about my choices. She would, however, bring up a duck egg throw and homemade fudge to the police on duty. Mum is fiercely loyal to her family and friends, and so they are to her. Mum's best friend is so loyal that she agreed to go with Mum to a Barry Manilow concert in Brisbane. Fortunately for her friend, it was cancelled due to ill health. Dad said that they probably only sold those 2 tickets. That comment cost him 3 tickets to Vegas for Barry's One Last Time show. Whilst we were there, world news broke that Bazza was gay and had married his male manager. Mum was traumatised by the news everyone had known for the past 40 years. She was brought to tears with the realisation that all the years that Barry was singing to Mandy, he was actually singing to Andy. Mum's best friend calls her the dumbest smart person she knows. Mum has 2 university degrees, and yet at the end of the news every night, when the newsreader thanks you for watching, Mum still has no idea how he could possibly know that she was watching that channel. I'd like to share with you a few things Mum has taught me. Diet Coke makes KFC a balanced meal. A pantry is not organised unless it is divided into cuisines of the world. Our home is not a democracy. John Denver's are the best songs to sing while sucking on helium balloons. Always take Glen 20 bowling for the shoes. There is never an excuse to forget a birthday. Apparently, I have 364 days' notice. When it comes to Dad, it is better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Sometimes I just need to suck it up. If you have something nice to say to or about someone, you should just say it. When Mum says, "What did you say?" She usually isn't asking me to repeat myself. She's giving me a chance to change what I said. Tossing and turning at night counts as exercise. Being able to respond with sarcasm to a stupid question is a sign of Mum's intelligence. What is said in the car stays in the car. When you really want to slap someone, just yell mosquito first. And well before the saying was popular, Mum's mantra was, be kind and you will change the world. My Nan and Nana are also here today. Like Mum, they too are beautiful outside and in. These 3 amazing women are my living inspirational poster. They live every day to the fullest. They do stop and smell the roses. They will have no regrets, and most of all, they are kind. I love you. Happy Mother's Day. The middle school leaders would like to express their thanks to the girls who spoke this morning. You are all eloquent and brave, so thank you for your contribution. We would also like to thank on all our middle school girls to say Happy Mother's Day to Miss Sandberg and each of your female teachers today. They really are mothers to us every day. They support and encourage us, keep our confidences, bring out the best in us, and nurture our sense of self. Most of all, they care. On behalf of the middle school girls today, we say thank you and Happy Mother's Day.